Hi FlossTube, it's Jen from Delicious Threads. Today is Friday, February 1st, 2019, and it's actually only been a couple of weeks since I recorded last. My goal of getting back to recording at least like twice a month so far is good, but we're still in the first month, so we'll see. The end of January was a lot of fun. I did a lot of crafting, a lot of stitching, but a lot of like non-stitchy crafting too. One of the nights, my sister, who I mentioned got engaged, she came up and we went to like a mom's night dinner with some of my friends. And then when we got back, we stayed up until like 4 o'clock in the morning crafting. She had a really cute idea for asking people to be bridesmaids in her wedding. And so we worked on personalizing some items for that. And I don't think I've ever stayed up most of the night or all night crafting with another person before. Usually if I'm up all night crafting, it's by myself and I'm just like plugging away while watching Netflix or whatever. So it was a lot of fun to be up and like crafting with somebody else. And more than likely, we'll have some more of those between now and when she actually gets married in a little over a year. We made sure we had the right fuel. There was a little bit of Red Bull involved. There was a bottle of champagne and some leftover cupcakes from my daughter's birthday party. It worked. So cupcakes for my daughter's birthday party. My daughter's birthday was this past Monday, and I had a party for her on the Saturday before, and I made cupcakes for the party. We had the party like offsite. We did it at this local like children's museum play space area, and it was so much fun. I just sometimes going somewhere else it's so much easier that you can just really enjoy yourself. So I still want to do some part of like hands-on stuff for the party. So I made the cupcakes. Here's a picture of what they look like. And I found the perfect sprinkles. It's a unicorn mix, and we had like a unicorn theme for the party. And these cupcakes just turned out so nice. I couldn't believe it. And they were delicious, and they were great for fueling that all-night crafting party with my sister. I made a second batch for her to take to school on Monday for her actual birthday to celebrate with her classmates too. Luckily, the class ate all but like 2 of them, so I wasn't too tempted to binge on cupcakes. They were really yummy. So that's kind of it for that. Last time I showed you a quilt I was working on, and I finished my quilt top. It was part of a quilt along, and I was behind on some weeks, but I was able to catch up and I actually finished the top a few days early, so I was really happy about that. And I love this quilt. It's so cute. I think I showed you the fabrics all cut out last time, but I hadn't started sewing the blocks together at all. And now it's done. I did, oh, hope I don't get lipstick on that. All of my little hearts are in pinks and purples. You know what, let me stand up. All of my little hearts are in pinks and purples, and they're in these little like speech bubbles. And my trim is this really pretty aqua color. It's hard, can't get the whole thing in there. And then for the layout, this always looks red in the pictures, but it's just a really dark pink. And I started with like the darker pinks in this corner, and then as it goes through the quilt, it gets to lighter pink, and then goes to darker purples down in the opposite corner. And I love this quilt. It's just the top for now. I do need to figure out how I want to quilt it. I do eventually want to start doing some like free motion quilting and maybe do some quilting with rulers. But for now, I might just go back to my tried and true straight line quilting just so I can get it done and actually use it before too long. For my backing, I'm thinking about using this fabric. It has some of the same sort of pinks and aquas in there. And if I turn it this way, it almost looks like little angular hearts. And then my binding is going to be this pink with little white polka dots. So I think that's going to be super cute. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to finish that up, because I would like to actually have finished quilts instead of just quilt tops floating around like all of my finished cross stitches that aren't framed or doing anything fun. So, okay. I have another quilt along that's going to be starting later this month by the same designer that designed the I Hurt You quilt, and it's called Meadowland. And this is what it's going to look like, or this is what the pattern looks like. And I haven't picked fabrics or anything, just found out about it yesterday, so I'm going to be excited to put that together. I think it's going to go together really quickly. The heart quilt went together so quickly. I was amazed that it went together as fast as it did. So hopefully this one goes together quickly too, and I can make like a quilt every month or so. Then I'll actually have some quilts to cuddle. My daughters both love the heart quilt, and the second they saw it, they're like, is that for me? So there might be some fighting over the quilt, but I'm gonna win because it's mine. They're all mine. Stitching. So in my last video, I talked about how my plans for 2019 were to stitch whatever the hell I wanted, and I said that I wasn't planning to join any stitch-alongs, I wasn't going to do any of the challenges, I wasn't going to do any of that stuff. Guess what I did? I am now part of the School of Magical Stitches and Literature. Oops. It still fits with my stitch whatever the hell I want because I really want to be stitching on all of my projects, and if there is a prompt that my projects don't fit with and I don't feel like starting something new, or if I just don't really want to stitch on the things that do fit the prompts, I just want to stitch on whatever I want, I'm still going to stitch on whatever I want. So I think it still fits. And it's kind of fun. It got me to stitch on projects that I hadn't stitched on in a long time. I think one of them I hadn't stitched on in over a year, and it's a big project. So if I'm not going to stitch on it for like years in between stitching sessions and then just doing a tiny bit, it's never going to get done. So it is giving me some motivation with the stitching, and so far, like, that's great. Like, once it feels like a job, or once it feels like something I don't want to do, I'm just not going to do it. But for now, it's fun. And then the reading part, I mean, I also had a reading goal for this year to read more. And I read 5 books in January. And a couple of them were specifically to fill some of the reading prompts in the group. So that's great, right? Yeah. So far, it is something I'm enjoying. And I know a bunch of people have joined. Some people are still joining, so if you're hearing about it on other people's videos or seeing people post about it on Facebook or on Instagram and you want to join, you still can. Year 2 just started, so this is where we're going to start reading like the second book. If you don't want to read the Harry Potter books, you can read other books that fit a different sort of prompt. That's what I'm doing because I want to be able to read other things. So there's a lot of like wiggle room in the projects or in the prompts or challenges, and they have some year-long challenges, and you can kind of make things fit however you want. So it's a lot of fun if you want to stitch more and you want to read more, and if you like Harry Potter, or even if you don't really like Harry Potter but you want to like stitch some stuff and you like the challenges, you can join. I'll put a link down below for the group. But yeah, so I'm having fun. And so now we'll get to the stitching that happened partially because of the challenges in School of Magical Stitches and Literature. I don't know what order we're in here. Let's see. I stitched on a couple of different projects this month. The first one is Happily Ever After, and I'll put a picture of what it looked like before I started stitching at all here. And this is what it looks like right now. And this is the project that I did a bunch of stitching and unstitching on this month. So one of the prompts was to stitch an animal, and you got bonus points if it was a dog. So I stitched the dog right here. This is going to be the Little House on the Prairie block. Another one was to stitch green, so I finished this grass here and did up here, and then some of these borders have green. there was a prompt for stitching metal. The block down here is King Arthur, and I will show you what it looked like after I stitched metal, and then the next prompt was royalty, so I used King Arthur for that. So for metal I did the crown and Sword in the Stone, and then for the royalty I started stitching King Arthur, and he was right here, and you can see I had to pull those stitches out, but this is what it looked like. And in a later one, it was, for one of the bonus stitches, it was to watch the first Harry Potter movie and stitch while you're watching, and then post a before picture and after picture. And what I did while I was watching the movie was I was working on borders, because I figured that would be easier to count, and then that would set me up to be able to get to the different areas more easily. I stitched this coming down here, and I realized that King Arthur and the Sword in the Stone were in the wrong spot, so I had to pull all those out. And you would think that stitching or like counting to an area that's really close wouldn't be that hard. But I have another area I need to pick out. This row right here is supposed to be just one stitch below, like one gap. And I accidentally left 3 threads in between. And you can see like all of this stuff is counted right, and that was already there, so I'm not quite sure how I did that wrong, but I'm thinking maybe I was paying a little more attention to the movie than I thought I was. So making good progress on this one. I also stitched this as my least favorite project, and the reason why this one is one of my current least favorite projects is because I keep putting it down because I'm not like super excited about it. At the beginning, I loved this Ever After, the Happily Ever After block in the center. It's so pretty. I love this border. It's gorgeous. I just don't connect with some of the stories. Like Wind of the Willows, like I know of it. I didn't read it. I've seen the movie, but like, I don't know, like it's not really something that I connect with. I think we have like Jane Austen. Like I know a lot of people love their Jane Austen. I don't really care that much. I don't know. I don't remember the rest. Like Heidi and things like that. They're okay. Like they're classics. That's fine. But I don't know. I just wasn't. I got down here and I was like, meh. I don't really care that much. So for that one, you were just to stitch like 300 stitches, I think, and so that's where I was stitching down here, and I put in some of these little details. So that's where we're at. Looking pretty. Another project I stitched on was my Gypsy Mermaid. This one has not seen the light of day in quite a few months. I don't know if it's been a full year, but it's been a long time. And the prompt I stitched this one for was to stitch one of your more difficult projects, so something that had like specialty stitches or like techniques that you haven't really used before. And so I picked this one because I'm doing the 1/1 skin. And oh, here's a picture of what it looked like before. And this is where I am now. And it's only 100 stitches, but it's 100 teeny tiny 1/1 stitches. So I'm having a hard-ish time on this one too, because some of these in here are supposed to be blends, but when you're doing 1/1, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. Some people said stitch in one color on the bottom leg and stitch in the other color in the top leg, and it's really hard to see after you've done one leg which ones haven't been crossed over yet. I mean, like I could really look and say, oh, okay, well those are all going that direction, so I know I need to. But I was also filling in some in here where there are like skipped stitches between, like in the orange there. And once I did one leg, I was like, I'm just gonna do it all in one color. So we'll see how it looks when I get to the other skin color, because that one's gonna be coming up and on this side. But yeah, so this one saw the light of day again, and I love it. I love her tail. This is a gift for my sister, the one that's getting married. So it would be nice to finish this sometime soon, but this skin, I'm kind of wishing I didn't do it 1/1. What if I should pull it out? I don't know. I don't think 1/1 skin is for me. Another project that has not been out in a very long time, this one absolutely has been over a year since I stitched on it, is Giant Harry Potter. And this is where it was when I pulled it out this time. And this one was for the prompt to stitch on your largest whip. And this one and Death by Cross Stitch are probably kind of equal if you just think about like how many stitches there are. But this one is like taller than at least 2/3 of my kids, so I picked this one. And I filled in the rest of the sort of cream color on the Slytherin banner. This one is a gift for a different sister, and from how long it's taken me to get this far, I will never finish this. Congratulations, Sam, here's your gift. And, actually that's too big. The last project that I've worked on is Ink Circles, A Ghostly Mandala. And here's a picture of what it looked like before I started stitching this month. And this is where it is at now. And I'm stitching this one for one of the year-long extra credit projects for Magical Stitches in Literature. And for most of those, they all have to do with the number 7, because the number 7 is really prominent in the books. And you need to, for those projects, stitch 1,000 stitches. But you have like the whole year to try to fulfill. I think there are 22 different things, so it'll take a little while. But this one's really coming together. And I think I'm like at 800 stitches or so. So only a couple hundred more before I can count this toward my challenge. So that is it for the stitching. Oh, one other thing. I don't know if I'm going to use this or not. I really like it. I got this container from Target. It's one of their Y-weave baskets. It's like the biggest size, I think. And I got a whole bunch of containers to try to organize the pantry and like the linen closets and stuff. And I didn't want to take all of the kids with me to the store, so I just bought a whole bunch of stuff online. I said I'll figure it out once it gets here and use what I need and return whatever I don't need. And I was gathering things up for the video, and I was throwing my projects in here, and I was like, oh, those fit really nicely. So I might use one of these to kind of store the projects I'm working on currently, or ones that I worked on, so that I have them all ready to go for when I film a new video. Anyway, and they have those in other colors too, so I like that. Books. Read some books. I don't know. I'm not good about like sharing books. I'm on Goodreads. I'll put a link to my Goodreads below, so if you want to see what books I'm reading, maybe to get ideas or to be like, wow, she reads weird stuff, I'll put that down there so you can see what I've been reading. Still working on decluttering. Like I said, I got some stuff to organize, the pantry, and I have a whole bunch of like half-finished projects. My husband is so much better at decluttering than I am, and he says that he needs me for like the organizing thing, but if it's just get rid of stuff, he's really good at that. So his closet, we work together, but we got his closet done. Like, it looks amazing in a day. And my stuff is all like half done. So I'm hoping to be able to finish up some of those projects soon. There's a lot to declutter and organize. And like, I know that once I get going, I get really excited and I'm able to get a lot done. So it's really just getting that motivation to start again after it's been a little while. I don't know. Yeah. So I have no haul. I have not been buying stuff. I have been buying fabric. I mentioned that last time. Like, I feel like all of my spending has moved away from stitching stuff to sewing stuff. So I have gotten a few more fabrics to use for quilts and some more fabrics to use for project bags. And I haven't been sewing project bags this month, so I need to get on that too. And I think with needle minders, I might just go ahead and start keeping a stock in my group again. I was thinking that it might be easier to just do like smaller, more isolated sales and then just take everything down, but it makes me sad to have a completely empty group between sales, so I think I might go ahead, maybe starting this weekend if I have time, go ahead and get some needle minders back up and just leave them sort of like one of the ones I have, leave those in stock always. So we'll see. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before. Thanks for checking it out if you're new. And I hope I see you again in a couple of weeks. Until then, happy stitching.